Good morning. We are Team Alpha 9. From left to right, our team consists of Ashraf Madan, E. Zhang, myself, Drew Gordon, and Jilak Chattopadhyay, working in partnership with the Point Defiance Zoo on the Grit City Carnivore Project. Our point of contact there at the zoo was Karen Bovey, and she's the Director of Conservation. We also worked with Dr. Chris Schell, who is here at the University of Washington, Tacoma at the Schell Laboratory. Special thanks to the Center for Business Analytics and Dr. Haluk and his team. The agenda for our presentation will be to race through the background, challenges, and opportunities that we found, the analysis of how we got there, then revisit the goals of the project and recommendations for future iterations. Looking at the background, the GCC focuses specifically on coyotes and raccoons. These two highly adaptable species are incentivized by free meals found in abundance around the urban area, mainly in the form of trash and loose house pets, unfortunately. The people of Tacoma are becoming increasingly concerned with the mounting number of negative interactions that they have with these animals. Some have even resorted to counterproductive behaviors like leaving food out to distract them or attempting to remove them by various other means. So the GCCP was commissioned to de-escalate this tense relationship, and they began by assessing the situation through voluntary surveys. Like any other nonprofit, though, the GCCP has limited manpower with their team of 2 and must be very shrewd in its application of public outreach. The GCCP's surveys, unfortunately, have returned geographically skewed data, giving one quadrant of Tacoma a disproportionate share of the community's voice. While plans to gauge the efficacy of the project were originally to re-administer the surveys to the audiences attending the outreach efforts, concerns about the feasibility of this and scoring fidelity makes this metric unreliable. By finding and focusing the project's efforts on a target audience, we can optimize the expenditures of the project's scarcest resource, time. Using the wealth of demographic and opinion data captured in the GCCP's baseline surveys, we were able to spot trends in which community groups are experiencing the greatest amount of conflict and need the most intervention. From all of this, we were able to build an algorithm to aid in future analysis. To address the other issues of data bias and a lack of key performance indicators, we brought in sentiment analysis of social media. Including the unadulterated opinions of postings, ideally from a wider audience, would balance out the regionality of the current data set, thus providing the GCCP with a more even and streaming way to understand the community's issues, and if the GCCP's efforts are having the intended effects. The current flow of information looks like this. The people in the 4 quadrants of Tacoma are currently at odds with the urban carnivores. The GCCP has reached out to them soliciting their opinions through surveys. The survey data comes back from the people to the GCCP, who then scrubs the data for personally identifiable information before handing it off to us up at the MSBA. We then apply sentiment analysis and then identify the key audiences that we recommend onto the GCCP, from which they then perform their educational outreach and ideally have a positive effect on the people of Tacoma, lessening the conflict. Given the raw SurveyMonkey output from the zoo, we write a custom R code to reformat, convert the data, and create a sentiment scoring system for the series of Likert questions in the survey. Respondents' total sentiment scores are used as the dependent variable for our analysis. Non-opinion questions were used as features or independent variables for our analysis. Laid out against a map of Tacoma in exploratory analysis, we see that out of the 1,065 total records, 605 fell within the project's area of focus in Tacoma's 4 quadrants, and the average sentiment was almost a full point higher than the total data set. 605 fell within the project's focus area of Tacoma's 4 quadrants, and the average sentiment was almost a full point higher than that of the rest of the data set. Looking at the distribution of sentiment scores, we can quickly see that there was roughly a 60-40 positive skew to it. One suspected reason for this skew is the nature of the survey deployment. 73% of the surveys came in response to the email invitations sent through the Tacoma Metro Parks and Zoo membership email list. These 2 mailing lists are by nature self-selecting pro-outdoor individuals that sign up. Future iterations of the survey may want to intentionally seek out opposition sources to avoid bias in the data. Another thing to notice is that the negative scores have a longer tail. Another thing to notice is that there's a longer tail on the negative side, meaning there are much greater extremes of negative opinions. In fact, while there are 47 respondents registering opinion scores lower than negative 30, there are only 4 with positive scores greater than 30. To optimize the project's outreach efforts, we immediately recommend avoiding preaching to the choir and attempting to change the minds of those with deeply entrenched negative opinions. In the charts on the right, you'll see this graphically depicted. Ignore the wings and focus on that orange band in the center of the second chart. At its core, the GCCP is a public awareness campaign, and its best chance is to approach audiences on the cusp of negative opinions that are simply undereducated about these species, and thus most likely to be engaging in those counterproductive behaviors, but still open to information on how to fix those problems that are bothering them.
Hi, I am Jilik Chattopadhyay, and today I'm going to talk about the modeling part of our project. For the dependent variable for machine learning studio, we are creating a new column called as desired class, and this desired class is being derived from sentiment score column. So why are we at all creating a new column for this? So to show you this graph, if you see the second chart, the target audience lies in this highlighted part, in the orange part. The audiences who fall, or the residents who fall in this range of sentiment score, are the ones which is the target audience for our client, and these are the people who the client wants to reach out to for their educational programs. What we have done is we have used a brute force algorithm to convert all the scores which lie in the range of plus 3.5 to minus 4.5 as 1, and otherwise to 0. To explain the model a little bit, we are using a 2-class boosted decision tree. That's because we have, for a dependent variable, we have 2 classes, either 1 or 0. And a decision tree, the advantage of using a decision tree is that it does a very in-detail parsing of the data. Now, to look at the most important things that this model is generating, 5 most important factors are household annual income, then cat ownership, then education, and then age, and then zip code. The rest does not really matter so much as their values are really low. This is a short demo of the web app that we built that can be used by the PDCA. There are 2 parts of functionalities of this web app. One, the left-hand side, as we see in the left-hand side of the screen, can be used when we want to know if one single survey responder is a target audience or not. So we will have to enter all the demographic information using these drop-down buttons. And once we select all of them, we just have to go down and click on the submit button, which will populate the result on this text area. So just for a short demonstration, let's take the age as 65 to 74 and a zip code as 98031, gender, let it be man, education, high school, household annual income, 70,000 to 999, pet owner, let's say yes. Perhaps he has a cat, and no livestock, use of iNaturalist, let's say no. And then if we click on submit, it's showing that he is a target audience. Similarly, if we go on the right hand side of the screen, this is used when we collectively want to know the result of multiple survey responders on a single click. So we would just have to choose a file which is there in my system. I've created a sample file in the name of try.csv, which has a couple of rows, and it will automatically download the CSV file in your personal computer. And when you open it, we could see the results here. You could see that there is something called as the scored level, which has the numbers 0 and 1, where 0 means that this particular row, he is not a target audience, and if it's 1, then it means that he is a target audience. So that's for the demo. Thank you.
Thank you, Jilik, for the wonderful demonstration. Hello, everybody. I'm Ashit Madan, and I'm going to be talking about the second method that we have used to define our target audience, that is the K-means clustering. Using this method, we were able to categorize our audience into 5 clusters based on the sentiment scores. As you can see, the sentiment scores on this table are labeled as very high, high, medium, low, and very low. Some of the features that we found to be significant in categorizing these sentiments were the type of education the respondent received, their household income, and the gender. And we also found that those who scored medium or low sentiments could be defined as the target audience. Using these two methods, we have built a dashboard that is beneficial for our client. Now I'm going to head over to our dashboard to show a little demonstration. On the top left corner here in the red is the geographical region of Tacoma. There are 10 zip codes in the 4 quadrants of Tacoma, and the charts in blue are represented as the sentiment of the target audience versus all audience, the gender of the respondents, target audiences in each area, their household income, the education, and whether they are cat owners or dog owners, and the age groups of those respondents. To do a quick demonstration, I'm going to interact with this dashboard. Suppose we want to find out what kind of respondents are living in this particular zip code. We can see that sentiment that they're showing and their household annual income, the education. If we want to drill deep into this analysis, we can also select a particular age group to target our outreach program. Using this, we can see that there are 2 people with the -8 sentiment score living in this region who belong to the age group of 25 to 34. We believe this dashboard would help our client to understand the audience of this particular community, prepare for suitable actions in their project, and communicate the results effectively and efficiently as well. Thank you so much for your time. Now I'm going to be handing it over to Drew, who will proceed with the next part.
Thanks, Ash. We introduced social media sentiment analysis as a mechanism for measuring the project's impact on the community and thus an alternative performance indicator. Additionally, as a means for maintaining relevancy and the finger on the pulse of the community's needs. However, in the current climate of concern around internet privacy, most social media users have already taken steps to limit their digital footprint. This makes already niche topics like urban carnivores difficult and too sparse to be useful. However, self-selecting task groups like the Tacoma Coyotes group on Facebook have created forums where the zeitgeist can be pulled while remaining curious. This specific group focuses on protecting people and their pets through education and awareness, similarly to the GCCP's mission. Using Python code to perform a naive Bayes classification sentiment analysis, over the past 12 months of postings, we were able to establish the following baseline for the GCCP. There was a 51% positive, 24% negative, and then a 25% neutral percentage on their postings. Any change to this represents shifting opinions in the community. By continuing to add to the database of postings and regularly using the Python code to run reports, the GCCP will be able to monitor shifts in the community collective opinion. Ideally, these will be for the positive, reflecting on the impact of the GCCP's outreach efforts. Or this resource may also serve as an early warning for deeper-rooted problems, with the angry post serving as the symptoms. Readdressing the initial goals that we set out for the project in last July, between the tools of the web hosting sentiment predictor, the target audience dashboard, and the social media sentiment analysis tools, we believe that we have delivered on all 3 of the high-level goals. Our future recommendations focus on creating a unified interface with a balanced perspective on the data and automating stages of the offering to widen its applicability on other areas of conservation. It's been our goal throughout the project to free our client from the technical heavy lifting so they can focus back on their mission of improving the stewardship of Pierce County's natural resources. Thank you for joining us. Again, we are Ashrith Madan, Yi Zhang, myself, Drew Gordon, and Jilik Chattopadhyay.